Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today. My name is Liz Pena. I'm a marketing specialist here at Verity IT, and today's webinar will be covering the email threat landscape in today's society and how to best mitigate email threats to protect your business. We are joined today by Rami to discuss the impact of email threats further. Rami has been with Trend Micro for over 4 years and specializes in MSP, account management, and cybersecurity. When she's out of the office, you can find her with her husband and dog hiking around Texas. Thanks so much for joining us, Rami.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Liz. And thank you everyone for joining us today. As Liz mentioned, we're going to go over the state of email security, the threat landscape, what that looks like, and how you can protect your company. So I'll go ahead and hop right in. All right, so just a quick overview of the agenda today. We're going to be going over BEC attacks, account takeover attacks, spear phishing, unknown malware, and mitigation strategies. So overall, a majority of threats that come into your environment enter through email, whether it's an email asking for credentials, offering a free gift card, or posing as a coworker. This is pretty unnerving because it shows us that one of the biggest vulnerabilities in our organization is ourselves by clicking on an email or simply just opening it. There are some key things that you can do to assure that you don't fall victim to these sophisticated attacks, and we'll get into those now. Many organizations are using Microsoft Office 365 for email, as you guys probably already know. Office 365 does have anti-malware protection. However, it's only designed to catch known malware. And you can see that in the service description on the slide. What most people don't know is that 95% of malware is actually unknown. So this means that Office 365's basic security is only protecting 5% of malware coming through your email. We like to use the metaphor for the smoke detector. And if a smoke detector said that it's only going to catch 5% of fires, would that be good enough? Probably not. So that's always a good metaphor to use. Email is the #1 source of attacks, as discussed on the previous slide. And a majority of the cybersecurity threats come through phishing, spam emails. So every customer needs a good strategy to deal with unknown malware. Microsoft Office 365 in their E3 security, it actually doesn't include anti-fraud enhancement. So this is where a layered security approach would come into play. Trend Micro's cloud app security, for example, in 2019, we caught over 12 million high-risk email threats, including phishing attacks, business email compromise, and even malware. These threats were those that were missed by Office 365 security, and our added security layer was able to detect and block those threats for our customers. This type of protection is going to protect your users from threats that manage to slip by in the protection that you already have in place for your cloud-based email services, such as Office 365. As you can see here, some types of attacks that occur, whether it's straight up malware, phishing, or even BEC attacks, they're still slipping through. So that's kind of unnerving. So let's take a look at these different types of attacks. Business email compromise, or BEC attacks, is any phishing attack where a target believes they have received an email from a genuine business. According to Verizon's 2020 data breach investigation report, most business email compromise attacks now involve wire transfer fraud. This is going to be where a criminal poses as a higher up in the company and requests money to be transferred quick. It could be them stating that they're out of town and need money fast, or that they need to wire money to a supposed client. Any way it's painted, their goal is to have the victim send funds to an account they have access to without the employee knowing. Due to the popularity of cloud services, especially Office 365 and G Suite, BEC attacks have been focused on by these platforms. So FBI has actually issued warnings in March of last year saying that they have received complaints totaling in over $2.1 billion in actual losses from BEC scams targeting Microsoft Office 365 and Google G Suite. These crimes can look a few different ways, but we're going to go over two of them right now. So email impersonation is one of them. And this is where an attacker sets up an email account that looks like a business email account. And then, of course, email spoofing. And this is where the attacker modifies the email's envelope and also the header. The receiving mail server will think that the email came from a corporate domain, and the recipient's email client displays incorrect sender information. This is where education comes into play for your employees for them to know what to look out for. And this one's even scarier. The credential phishing sites, they look really convincing. And for credential phishing, we use computer vision, looking at the web page logo, the login form, and compare those with the URL. For example, on this page specifically, it looks like it's from Microsoft, but the URL is not from Microsoft. So it's a fake page. This is another example of how we detect the latest email threats by using AI. The URL could be either safe or unrated. So web reputation, which is a feature offered, would detect credential phishing on this site. So some key things for you to train your employees to look out for when receiving emails, especially like with links and stuff like that. The message is sent from a public domain. So one thing to note is no legitimate organization is ever going to send you anything from an address that ends in gmail.com. The domain is misspelled, or the email is poorly written. Anything that looks suspicious, like when it comes to attachments or links, like a link like leading to this login page, for instance. And if the message creates a sense of urgency. Even though it can be hard, this is why it's so important to have a great email solution in place. All right, so let's say you accidentally put your credentials into the fake login, and then you're in this situation. So it's called email account takeover attacks. And this is where the criminal can actually access Microsoft applications with sensitive data as OneDrive, SharePoint, or even Excel. This is why you should never, under any circumstances, give anyone your login credentials, and always change your password very frequently, including special characters, numbers, letters, and capital letters. It only takes one. Cybersecurity threats have become sneakier, more complex, and scarier. It takes one threat to get through to be 100% at risk. It also takes one employee to grant access. This is why education on cybersecurity is so important in the workplace, and also having a layered security approach is very important. All right, so what can we do to prevent it? Some key features to look for that help block ransomware before it ever gets to your users in the first place are things like malware scanning. This is going to detect and block ransomware automatically before it even reaches the inbox. You can also look for feature sets like anti-spam and file scanning. This is going to include executables and also macro. This is going to scan emails, files as they come in to assure nothing fishy is going on, pun intended. And then malware analysis, and that's going to give you an advanced threat protection with a cloud sandbox. And then you can also look at things like 0-day and document exploit detection. And that's just to name a few. All right, detecting unknown malware. Even though the bad guys are swiftly changing their tactics and their ways to prevent and mitigate such attacks, there are some ways that we can protect ourselves. So some of the security solutions out today are specifically designed to outsmart attackers, such as machine learning. This is going to improve your email delivery by finding unknown malware. We also have document exploit detection, and this is going to scan files for potential exploits in the Office applications. And then lastly, sandbox analysis. This is going to pre-filter email to analyze for malicious content as well. So Cloud App Security is going to protect Office 365 and other cloud-based file sharing applications. And since we're talking about email and it's the #1 source of attacks, it's going to help stop email-based threats. It's going to stop phishing, ransomware, and it's going to happen in the cloud with this proven solution. So one of the ways that we do this is it actually sits on top of the Office 365, and it's going to use APIs to scan these incoming emails to assure nothing fishy is going on. Another way that you can protect your company against email threats is AI. We use AI and machine learning for the latest threats, such as BEC and credential phishing. For BEC protection, we first do email behavior scanning, such as abnormal email routing behavior, or maybe the sender's name is very similar to the company's high-profile user, or we also check the email content to see if any suspicious intention, such as financial impact, is included in the email. All other security vendors would stop here for BEC detection. But Trend Micro, we go a step further. We have a second layer, and it's called writing style authorship analysis. And this is actually patented by Trend Micro. And with writing style AI model, it's built for each high profile user. And when an email comes in saying it's from the user, the AI model would check to see if it's indeed from the user, if it's how they normally talk and stuff like that. And we'll go ahead and go a little bit deeper into this. So what is writing style DNA? So we all write differently. Some of us write with long sentences with a variety of words, while other ones we're more direct, or we have short words with small paragraphs. But we actually did a use case, and we took the emails of 3 Enron executives, and this is based on a 500,000 email data set that was released publicly during an investigation for, I believe it was the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. But we can see the key differences here in this graph of how they write. Looking at the emails from Skyling, Beck, and Delaney, we can compare writing style elements such as their sentence length, their word length, repeated words, paragraph length, pronoun usage, and even adjective usage. Scaling, for example, is very direct, and they use short words, short paragraphs, straight to the point. Beck, on the other hand, they use a wordy style, long paragraphs, long sentences, but they also repeat word sequences. And then David is very descriptive style, and they have a high number of adjectives. So after using the data set, you can see if, Scaling, for example, who's very direct, short words, short paragraphs, if you received an email from him that was very detailed and very long, like paragraphs, like it would like raise a red flag with this specific feature set that we offer. And I've touched on this multiple slides, but training your employees is so important, especially like engaging content that's going to keep them interested and actually like learning from the training. The landscape is constantly evolving with new threats. And by setting up training campaigns, you can educate your employees on the latest cyber threats and keep your company safe. Because at the end of the day, us as employees, we're the biggest vulnerability out there. Another thing that Trend does to help employee awareness is we work with our email reputation services team to bring you the latest templates reflecting the most recent phishing threats. And so this is called Phish Insight, and these are phishing campaign templates that are completely customizable that you can send to your employees. The only prerequisite is they all have to have the same domain, but you send them to your employees. And we actually use this internally as a gamification tool. So like people who don't click on it, like they get like a $10 Starbucks gift card, like your next coffee's on us, because like you're actually like making sure you're not clicking on fishy things. And then the people who are click happy, we offer the training material and documentation for them to review in hopes that they, look for those clues and indications of like a threat going forward. And something else that's really cool about this offering, it's also, I don't know if I mentioned this, it's completely free. So you can use this free of charge. But something else that's pretty cool is you can actually track the results as they happen with our dashboard. And you can easily identify teams or individuals that need more training. And all the data can be exported should you wish, and you can do additional like analysis outside of the product as well. But yeah, aside from that, I'm gonna look at the chat and see if we have any questions.
We did have a few questions come in. The first question we had come in is, what should you do if you suspect your email account has been compromised?
Oh, wow. So if you suspect that, right off the bat, change your password. And I would go ahead and contact your security provider or contact Verity, and they can work with tech support, and we can actually verify if it was in fact compromised and mitigate that as we see fit.
Perfect. And then the next one was, if you do end up sending a hacker money, is there any way to get it back?
I do know some customers utilize cybersecurity insurance, and I'm not an expert on that, but I do know you are able to get funds back if you're utilizing that type of service. But you should never send like wire money like without like knowing that it was that person. But yeah, I would suggest looking into like either cyber insurance or, but once that happens, I'm not sure 100% how you would get that back without knowing like who the assailant was, if that makes sense. I hope that answered your question.
Totally. Okay. And I think that's all the time we have for today. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Rami?
No, thank you guys for hopping on. And if you have any other questions, you can send them Liz's way and she'll forward them to me and I'd be happy to answer them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. We hope everyone has a productive day. And as Rami said, if you have any other questions, just go ahead and email me at marketing@verityit.com. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.